am I sitting across from right now?
So my name is Chelsea. I am our Sales and Community Engagement Manager here at Northwest Portland Hostel.
And how long have you been the Sales and Engagement Manager at Northwest Portland Hostel?
I was just thinking about it because I was like, how long has it been? It's been a little over 2 years, coming up on 2.5 soon.
What were you doing before this?
So I have a background, I've done a range of things. I have a background in working for cultural exchange and travel organizations. And then during the pandemic, I had a pivot and I worked for a nonprofit in development and events. So kind of, sales, operations, a range of things.
Do you find that you're into more of the operations role here, or like a project management role here, or kind of this hybrid of those two things along with like a people-focused role?
It's a mixture of things.
You wear a lot of hats.
Yes. With the sales and community engagement component of it. So the sales component is working with groups. So groups 10 or more is me assisting with getting them booked to stay at our hostel. Because we're a hostel that is quite, medium-sized technically, but like large in the scale of things. It's 200. We can accommodate 200 guests. We try to get groups in to join us. So I'm the one that's responding to those inquiries or doing that outreach to get those groups to stay with us. And then in addition to that, we have a restaurant on site, so our hostel café, and we have an event space, so we're getting groups in there as well. So that's one part of my role. And then another part of my role is marketing. So it's a mixture of different things.
What's your favorite hat to wear out of all the hats that you wear?
Good question. I do like the sales component of it. I think it's kind of fun in a weird way. But I think the most memorable part of my job is the creativity with being able to bring local groups into our hostel cafe. So because we have an event space, we provide that event space for free in exchange for support of our cafe. So through food and beverage purchase, groups can come in and use our cafe. So that can be for like a party or a meetup or a networking event. And that has a lot of creativity within it because I can like use like my own and like organizations I volunteer with to bring them into the cafe to use the space. Like for example, this Sunday, I'm co-hosting an International Women's Day celebration in support of a local nonprofit that sends local Portland college students on study abroad programs.
Oh, wow.
So like that's me volunteering for the organization, but it's also me working here. So like I think that that's a really unique thing in my job that a lot of jobs you don't have the chance to do that.
So I feel like there's a lot of community involvement.
Yes.
In your attempts to reach out to the community and bring these groups in. What's the driving factor or force behind this need, want, desire to interact with the community out of this space?
Out of this space?
Yeah.
Well, I think I've always been, I'm from Chicago originally. And I think coming out to Portland, I moved out here about 3.5 years ago. I didn't know anyone, kind of was, making the move, wanted to go out west, have more access to nature. And I knew that in starting like living in a new place, I really wanted to like grow some roots and become like active in the local community. And like that took some time, but like I got involved with different organizations to volunteer. And then I think that, being in this role too, specifically, it's made me even more directly engaged. You get to meet a lot of people in my job. I go to a lot of different networking events around Portland to see how we can kind of cross collaborate, whether that's a nonprofit or like, a small business. We do a lot of different cross collaborations here at the hostel.
So you get a paycheck out of it, but what else do you get out of it? Like, what's in it for you? Why nonprofits? Why not go for commercial organizations that would give you a higher dollar amount for what you're providing them in exchange? Like, what's in it for you?
Well, I personally really just like Carpe Mundi, the organization we're supporting on Sunday, is like my passion project. Like I really believe in like the mission of like cultural exchange and everyone having access to different travel opportunities. I wouldn't work in a hostel if that wasn't the case. It's a pretty unique job to work at a hostel. If you work at a hostel, like you have to have that like passion for travel. You also have to understand it, like of why hostels are cool and engaging in such a unique way to travel. And yeah, I think that here in my role, I get to share that with our local community of being like, come check out our hostel, not like it's not specific just to nonprofits. It's like to anyone. Like last year I gave probably 60 different tours to our local community of the hostel of various organizations, so they could get a better understanding of like the hostel that's in their community and what a hostel is. And I kind of like changing that perspective of a lot of, I think like I often get, oh, I stayed in a hostel in Europe. I didn't know we had one here. So I think for people to see that they have a hostel in their city and here, like a great one too, that's pretty unique. I think it's important for them to see that. And then also for those that haven't experienced a hostel, changing the perspective of what a hostel is. Unfortunately, American perception, I think like if we just like that movie Hostel should have never been made.
Never been made.
Never been made.
Yeah. People look at me with two heads when I'm like, I have a Hostel podcast. And it's like, you horror addict? I'm like, what? No. There's nothing about that.
I've seen approximately 2 minutes of it.
Yeah.
And I think I need to block those 2 minutes out of my head.
Yeah, you can't get that time back.
No, no. And no one ever needs to see that. And like that, if that's like what people reference, like we have a ways to go. And I think that will change a little bit with things being more expensive. I think that more people are becoming open to a hostel because they're saying, oh, it's like less expensive than maybe some other accommodations. So I like respond to our reviews and sometimes I see this is our first hostel stay and like it was great. Like it wasn't what I expected. I think we're seeing more domestic travelers considering hostels.
Is there a sense of pride in that? Like, oh, I'm a part of this.
Yes. I mean, being part of a good one too. Like I say sales is fun because I like what I'm selling. I think that sales, like if I couldn't do this for any business. If I didn't like firmly believe in what I was selling, I wouldn't think it was fun. I think that the experience, like some of these groups, for example, we're a hostel that caters to all different age ranges. We have 6 buildings, and that means that like youth groups can have like their own space, which I think can be important for like chaperones and such, feeling like it's a safe space for middle schoolers, high schoolers. But I think it's really great to like see those groups come through because for many of them, it's their first hostel experience, and starting them young with being in hostels is like great. Like you're going to be the type of teenager then that might go off to Europe and stay at a hostel.
Makes sense.
It's like, it's giving them their first experience with it. And if you don't get that in the US, you kind of have to like seek that out yourself. Right. And that's not always super easy to do.
Not only is it not super easy, it's like you have no base of knowledge to start with.
Yeah.
I didn't have a base of knowledge to start with. And then I ended up in Costa Rica. And that was my introduction to hostels. Yeah. Was being in Costa Rica. I didn't know there were domestic hostels until years after that.
I mean, I only in this job have I started staying at hostels domestically. I had never stayed in a hostel within the U.S. before I started working here.
That's a good point. So out of that new experience, what sets this one apart? Is it how it's run? Is it the ownership? What is it? What is it that sets Northwest Portland Hostel apart? And how does that tie into your job and like your passion projects?
So I've stayed in a lot of hostels. I've traveled pretty extensively and had many different hostel experiences. Okay. Like the good, the okay, and the quite, and the strange. So I, again, this is international travel. So that was my only kind of comparison before I started working here. And I've had the chance since to stay at a couple other hostels now since. But one thing that I think makes our hostel really unique, I mean, is one, the layout of it. 6 buildings. It's like its own little compound, but it's like someone once came in and commented that they loved it had all like had the spaces to be social and feel like part of like a community, but it also had lots of pockets where you could have like your own space too. And I think that makes us pretty unique in the sense that we have like our secret garden, which is like an outdoor courtyard. And then we have an additional courtyard with a fire pit off of the hostel cafe. But the main thing that I think really kind of makes us unique is our hostel cafe. So that is our restaurant that is open to the public, and travelers can use it as well. We serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's where we host a lot of our hostel events. And I haven't, from my experience in the past, I've seen some hostels with like a cafe, but I'm not sure if I've come across one that had like this idea to open a restaurant to connect locals and travelers. I think that makes it pretty unique in itself.
I think definitely, even in all the hostels I've traveled to, it's intensely unique and special.
Yeah, I don't know if you've experienced that.
Yeah, no, I think I've experienced a number of different things, nothing comparable to what I've seen over the last day and a half. But where does that build out come from? Where does that unique layout come from? Where do these concepts come from? What? This is the brainchild of something.
Britta. I mean, Britta and Jim, but Britta, I think, had this idea for the cafe. I think that having a spot where locals and travelers connect, because that's what both Jim and Britta are trying to do here. That's why they run a hostel, is like connecting travels with our local community and what makes Portland special and unique. And like really, I think you can visit a place and kind of have like, surface level experience. Facts. Or you can have like, if you get to know someone that lives somewhere, it completely changes it.
What do you think is their why behind that? Having worked for them for as long as you have and seeing the result of what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
What do you think drives that?
I mean, I know that they both equally have a passion for their local community. And supporting their local community. And I think that travelers bring in a lot of, small businesses, like it really benefits a local community to have like travelers coming in and visiting a city. Also, they care about people. And I think that they both had their own travel experiences. Britta is from Germany originally. I think that she has her own, probably unique experience of what makes a hostel, but
that's the standard bearer right there.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No, I mean Germany hostels. That's where hostels started.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like connecting the dots. It's like, okay, you have to make this up to British standard.
Yeah.
But in the constructive and organic and authentic way. Speaking of authenticity and things being organic. How have you seen your role evolve, and how have you seen the hostel evolve just in your time here?
Yes, it's always kind of changing and evolving depending on like the needs of where we're at in the moment. So when I first started, my role was we were hosting the North American Hostel Association conference. So this was in Portland, Oregon. In that conference, it was like 100 people coming in to learn and connect about like the hostel, and like a lot of hostel owners, managers, like coming together to like support one another in working in this industry. So initially, that is kind of what I was hired to do, is help. I mentioned I have a background in like events or event planning. So initially, that's kind of was my first couple weeks or months, was kind of gearing up for that and helping Britta and Jim prepare for, running like a multi-day event. And then it kind of evolved from there. Like we had other parts of my job description, but I think that over the course of working at the hostel, some of my strengths were like kind of came out, like the sales component. Initially, I wasn't covering groups, and I just asked if I could. And then I think that in that, I enjoyed that, and then that kind of turned into me helping support the cafe and sales too. So it's continually kind of evolving.
What were some of those early days like? First of all, what's it like to put on a whole multi-day event for a national conference? Like, I'm pretty sure you have to have some stories. From trying to put that together. From doing events myself, it is, yes, you wear a lot of hats. Yes. And there's a lot that goes right, but there's a lot that goes wrong.
And I would say for the most part, it went pretty smooth. I think what I was impressed by is like I have, worked for other organizations, profits that have these like distinguished events like a gala, and it's like it's a much larger team, like it's a lot larger of a team that is coming together to like put this event on. And then for this event, it was like North American Hostel Association, like their board was putting this together. But for the actual like run a show and like the for the planning of like food and behind the scenes, Britta and I both have full on.
What did you have? Give me. Is there any moment that stands out in your mind where you're like, oh wow,
so
I don't know what we got into.
One example from this is like our hostel is very environmentally conscious, and Britta wanted to, factor that into this event. Events produce a lot of waste. We wanted to avoid that. So we also usually events people get like a gift at the end, and we're like, okay, what's a sustainable gift that we can get for people? So we printed, we got mugs printed with our logo on it. Oh. Yes, very cute. But we decided we'll have those mugs at the conference so people aren't like, using plastic cups.
Okay.
And we probably had like 60 mugs, and they all look exactly the same. So
there's like 40 people unaccounted for.
Also, maybe there was a little more than 60 mugs, but something like that. It was not a ton, but they all look the same. So everybody's using them and then putting them on a table, and then it's nobody knows whose mug is who. So Britta and I there was a kitchen behind. So this is not at the hostel; it's at a whole different venue.
Okay.
Britta and I, behind the scenes, there's like a little kind of kitchenette area, are hand washing the mugs behind the scenes. Okay. So we are getting them back out into the to crowd to use. But I had an attendee from the conference that worked for Cloud Beds come up to me during the event, because you could see we're really busy with like snack refills, drink refills, and he's like, Chelsea, I have one question for you, and I was like, sure. He's like, how many mugs do you have at this conference? Because they were like, it seems like a never-ending supply. And I was like, probably like 60. And by the way, we're hand washing them. So hold on to your mug. Yeah. That's me washing it behind that door right there.
I love that. And it seems like a lot of work, but environmentally conscious establishments, service providers, properties leads you into the topic of sustainability. So it's like, why do you think Britta is big on sustainability?
Yeah.
Like, where do you think that comes from? Is that something that, you know, she's always had, or is that something that she's trying to cultivate just within this space? Like, what are your thoughts on sustainability? I think that's a unique feature. Like, you guys only have towels, like cloth towels everywhere. Mm-hmm. I mean, only hand blowers in the bathroom. Like, you really do care about the environment of this community on top of the community.
Yes, I think I actually haven't had that conversation with Britta before of like how far that stems back of like her passion for the planet and like the environment. But I know that it has been a big part of the hostel. I mean, our signs, like we have some signs up that they were made a while back, but like still stand still of like, you know, like using, you know, our shower heads, I think, to help with like the amount of, limit the amount, save water, I guess, yeah.
Water conservation.
Yes, water conservation,
buzz
or
phrase.
like the light bulbs we use, you know, they don't use up a ton of energy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think going back to your question of like, where does that stem from? I mean, I think Europe does a good job generally. Maybe that just Britta was instilled in Britta young, but I think that I really appreciate that the hostel makes an effort here. You know, I think a lot of the times in hospitality, especially like at events, there's so much waste produced. And when we hosted the conference, like we really made an effort to like cut back. Like we used reusable trays for the food that came out. The mugs, just like those little effort, or like, you know, maybe you would overlook it too, like being like, maybe not notice it, but it's like those small efforts accumulate over time. Yeah. You know, I can't even, I'm assuming that the hostel has used cloth. If we're still using them in 2026, I'm going to take a wild guess that we've been using solely cloth towels for a very long time. Mm-hmm. And if the hostel has been around for 28 years and we've been using cloth instead of paper towels, I don't even know how much waste that saved.
Oh, yeah. Wait, how much have you decreased your carbon footprint over that period of time by not being so wasteful?
I mean, honestly, probably the size of this guest house, like genuinely, like exactly. That's a lot of paper towels.
It is a lot of paper towels and a lot of energy that you're not using by like different light bulbs and different ways. I've seen even your signs are even made of wood. You don't have like a standard plastic signs up everywhere.
Yeah, they're pretty old school, but they're bolted onto the wall.
Bolted onto like engraved in wood. But I hear you throw around very intentionally the term passion. And you said you've been around for 28 years. Where do you think passion is pushing this hostel into the future? How do you see passion carrying this place forward?
I think that Britta and Jim are very creative with their ways of keeping this hostel, you know, what it is and afloat, especially in challenging times. I think that, you know, they've lasted with 6 buildings. They got through the pandemic, which with 6 buildings is incredibly challenging. And I wasn't here at that time, but I think that speaks on its own of like, you really have to have the passion and like creativity to keep something like an operation like this afloat during those times. And, you know, even in today's like political climate, international travel is significantly down, and bringing in that creativity of being like, okay, well, this is the situation we're faced with. Like, how can we adapt to get through this, you know? And like right now, that means changing some of our dorm rooms into private rooms because there's more of a need. So I think that there is a level of like adaptability and yeah, I think that I'm trying to think of like the right word for it when, I mean, like it's like that when like I've worked a lot of nonprofit, like you get creative.
Yeah,
yeah. And
you have to. You're forced to.
Accept different situations that come and like that. But you don't get through that without the underlying passion there. If you don't care enough about what the business or mission is doing, like,
Facts.
But it's like, if you do, you get pretty creative there.
Oh yeah. It's like if we know that we are faced with these situations and problems, we have no choice.
Yeah.
Our passion prevents us from quitting, you know, and if we ever did quit, it would make quitting twice as hard because we are so passionate about it. You yourself personally, with your passion, like how far do you see yourself evolving with this hostel? Like how far in the future do you see your work extending, and what types of things do you hope to continue to do or continue to expand upon?
Well, this job, I really enjoy it. It is a fun job. Like I've never had a job where I've been able to bring this amount of creativity, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to have pivoted back into like travel and like experiential learning and cultural exchange, like that realm, especially having to make a pandemic during, or making a pivot during the pandemic. When I first started, the woman that was in my role before, which was a little bit different because she was helping out with the design of our new building during like the pandemic when we didn't have guests. But when I first met with her, because she was moving back to Germany, she said to me, she goes, "This is going to be unlike any role you've ever had." And I was like, kind of like, huh? Like, what does that mean? But, you know, 2 years out, she's not wrong. Like, it's a very different type of job. You know, I think some people, like, because not, like I mentioned, like that not everyone is familiar with hostels in the United States. Like friends and family are like, kind of like, what do you do? And I'm like, but it's, yeah, it is just a job with so much like creativity. And I really appreciate that. Like the owners, Jim and Britta, like they trust me and give me that freedom to be like, okay, I think I have an idea here. Like, let's test it out. Let's see if we can get more business and trying this or that. And having that like flexibility has been like, I've learned a lot and grown a lot through it. I go to a lot of like networking events and like meet with like our local community, and like even just practicing that skill of just kind of putting yourself out there has been has been good. Like professionally, like grown, quite a bit over the past few years.
I love it. I think that can pretty much close it out.
Yeah.
No, thank you for sitting down with us. Thank you for taking the time.